What's up, guys? This is Kalo, and normally I'm here to give you the lowdown on all things gaming, but welcome back to another episode of Community Kitchen, where we're cooking up the latest and greatest gaming news headlines, and who better to join me today than Aiden? Why don't you say what's up?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Game Sandwich. Where I'm not even gonna just sugarcoat it this time. We just have more information about the GTA 6 layoff stuff.
We gotta have the viewer retention. We gotta lead them on. But before we get into any of that, we'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you guys that are liking these videos. Subscribe to Game Sandwich, and if you're new here, do all that, and then join our community Discord. The links to that is in the video description down below. Now, as for today's subject matter, this saga that has been to the day almost a week. There's a lot going on here. First off, the news that kind of shocked the world. Last night, let's classify that as nighttime. Rockstar announced that Grand Theft Auto 6 will now release on Thursday, November 19th, 2026.
Literally, if you watched our last video, I called that.
Yeah, we were conversating about this yesterday, and for those of
So
you who missed that
surprising.
video, where we're like, given everything that's happening around Rockstar right now, it is more likely than not that a delay would happen. Personally, there is a small part of me that's like, man, like, they really delayed it. And whenever I think about Rockstar games in general and just the overall vibe around all of them, it's like no secret. I have behind my desk an original Grand Theft Auto 5 poster, and it has the original date they announced, and then I have another poster that has the other delayed date that they announced. So it's like you come to expect that.
Yeah, I mean, I called it. I
Yeah.
really did because I was just like, look, it's going to be delayed. I have no doubt in my mind that it's going to be delayed, but I guarantee you the reason that it is delayed is not the reason that they're giving. I mean, Kevin, you can go ahead and put the post up over there, blah, 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 for whoever wants to see it. But they specifically said that it was in order to add more polish to the game, quote unquote. And I guarantee you that is not, to put more quote unquote polish on the game. It is because they laid off 34 employees and other people need to pick up the slack now in order to make up for the development. And not just that, but they're probably pushing it back in order to prepare for legal battles from IWGB,
Mm-hmm.
which is the Independent Workers Union of Great Britain. So I guarantee you that's the reasoning. They just don't want to tell you.
It is so believable that that's the case. And then there's also that thing that I just keep bringing up. I hate to sound like a broken record, where I'm like, okay, GTA 6, biggest video game release of all time. It's almost like I and only Sith deal in absolutes. They absolutely need to nail this launch. And that was just without this controversy. Now it is like we almost have to over deliver, because we brought up that point yesterday where it's like people are going to see this story about the union busting and all that stuff and be like, man, we do not support Take Two. We do not support Rockstar after all the crap they put their workers through. Now they almost have to over deliver. And I hate to sound like that, but that's just brass taxes when it comes to allegedly what they're doing behind the scenes. And now you just have to, like, you made your bed, you gotta live in it.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have to over deliver at this point because, well, at least in my opinion, they do just because there people are going to let's say that there is the lawsuit. Like, let's see a lawsuit goes through or whatever, and they get sued by the IWGB. Okay, that happens. Now people are going to be seeing this massive story, and lawsuits take a long time. So let's say it starts in the beginning of 2026. If it's not through before the middle of summer, people that's going to be fresh on people's minds.
Mm-hmm.
And people are just going to be like, look, I don't really want to support Rockstar because they did this. I don't feel like giving them my money. And that's going to really affect the GTA 6 like profits. It really is. But I think like bigger here though, Kevin, I sent you a
Mm-hmm.
forum post yesterday. There was a guy on the GTA forums going just by organize but apparently he was verified that he is an employee with Rockstar who resides out of some location. I'm not going to say. I mean, you can find the forum post if you want, yada, yada, yada. Or, well, obviously, we'll have a link to it and we'll have pictures of it. But in this forum post, Kevin, he's saying a lot.
Yeah.
He's saying a
Yeah.
lot about what happened with the firing. So I feel like we should break that down here.
We should. And just there's a front half of this where it's like describing, verifying the source, who this person is, and all that. But this also highlights the timeline of the events as far as what happened, when they were fired, the employees, and then subsequent reasons why afterwards. So I'm going to start like kind of in the middle where it says last week my colleagues who were in the studio were each individually messaged by HR for a short friendly meeting. Funny wording there. Under the friendly guise of, hey, you're available for a quick chat. Upon this meeting, they were handed an envelope with the short letter stating that their employment had been terminated for, quote, gross misconduct regarding the Discord posts and all that. So we know that half of the story. We just don't know how that came to fruition. Now, they failed to provide any evidence when asked. Kind of shady, nor were any stated within the letter, and they did not divulge any other information or reasoning, quote, and no other reason. So I want to stop there and kind of, well, they did, yeah, it goes further. But right there, hard stop. This is more like removed from games and just workplace stuff. I feel like if you're gonna fire people in that aspect and like, just do this so brashly, I feel like you have to almost explain stuff, right? Like, am I just kind
Yeah.
of like delusional?
No,
Like,
I mean, I don't know. Okay, so I don't know the law in the UK.
yeah.
I don't know the law at all. So keep that in mind, aside from the standard, like, don't steal because that's illegal kind of thing. But, like, I have no idea what companies can get away with. I don't know. And at least in the US, they point out in the post, I believe, that in the US, you actually like you have to give a reasoning for the firing. At least like after usually it's like after a 90-day thing. Like within the first 90 days or whatever you can be fired for any reason. But after that you have to give concrete reasoning as to why. I don't know about in the UK. I don't know what you have to do, but they said specifically they refuse the right to representation, which is against UK employment law. Like I said, I don't know about that. Don't know about anything about this, but it does seem like they would have to explain it, like not just give a, oh yeah, gross misconduct, yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, that's a broad term, you know. And now I don't know if that broad term like holds water, or if that's something else that they can get like sued for or whatever. I have no idea.
Yeah, so this post kind of goes on and says for colleagues who were not in the studio that day, they received a phone call from HR that lasted less than 2 minutes, telling them that they were fired and they'd received the same letter as above. I'm aware of one employee who had a panic attack at this moment, and HR hung up on them during this panic attack, not caring for them about their well being. These colleagues of mine were hard workers who have spent many years at Rockstar in critical roles, with colleagues who had not been at Rockstar more than 18 years, and none of them ever had disciplinary actions at that time. They are not easily replaced and certainly will affect us in making our project deadlines. Hence, again, a believable thing about the deadline and about the delay now. These were senior artists, animators, QA testers, designers, programmers, and producers, including leads. All super talented people who were proud of their work over multiple Rockstar titles, and they all wanted the best for Rockstar and their fellow colleagues. So that part right there is the most damning addition of, like, this is why GTA got delayed. This is not the void of, hey, like, we're just trying to deliver the best game. It's like, no, there are unfinished bits of this game that now need lead producers, and just from just knowledge in general about projects and getting them from start to finish and what I've experienced, I know that if I'm somebody who is working on something and then I get removed and then the project continues after, I know there is going to be a different flavor introduced because it's not your vision. Like it's not your original lead's plan for the game. And suddenly I'm thinking to myself now, is there going to be a staunch telling point whenever we do get our hands on GTA 6 to be like, oh, this is where the story changed. This is where something about the direction of the game changed.
Oh, I doubt that just only because of how far it is in development. I don't think there's going to be like an absolute change of like pace or like change of like story or anything like that. But I guarantee you that there will be like some sort of like maybe dip in quality or something just because they're going to be rushing things possibly at this point. But my biggest thing is that I guarantee you they're just going to keep pushing it back at this
Mm-hmm.
point. It's going to be, oh, okay, well we can't deliver it. Okay, push it back. Oh, we can't deliver it on this date. Push it back again. Like it's at this point, it's like, why did they even bother announcing it?
Yeah. Yeah. I am so. I don't know if it's just me being scarred by gaming releases. I'm very much in the camp of people who make these games, like any game in general, like it would do you better to announce the date as soon as you know the game is finished or like it's gone gold or you've reached a certain threshold to be like, "Oh, okay, like we can announce this date and then suddenly capitalize on the hype of the announcement for the release date and get that game out a month or two after." It's like with this game or like with whatever, like I always use the benchmark because it's a clear indication. GTA 6 got announced the week I started working at Game Sandwich. Hell of a week to start at a company like this. And now we're sitting here. The game hasn't come out. It has been delayed multiple times. And now this, where it's like, okay, like clearly you shouldn't have announced it when you did. Like, it's
Yeah,
okay. Like, there's no reason to do that.
they shouldn't have announced it at all. I feel like at this point, and now I'm just like angry at Rockstar. Not just like I'm not angry that they're delaying things. Like I could care less if they delay things. I want things to like I want my games to be as good as they can be, you know. I don't want
Yeah.
them to have like a ton of issues. But I'm more angry that like I am not more angry. I'm just angry in general that they would do something so blatant as this. And this post like it specifically talks about like how some people were fired while they were off sick, specifically saying that they were recovering from surgery and paternity leave
Yeah.
and everything. They also point out that this comes like right before like the holiday season, so like right before like Thanksgiving, Christmas stuff and all that. If they have family in the US, this is going to affect them and everything. And then they also mentioned too that they are like this happened too when they just when they reached the 200 member threshold to be 10%, like or the 10% threshold, which is required for them to get recognition and begin engaging in collective bargaining, they said.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, come on. Like, if you want more of a like more of an example that this is union busting at like blatant union busting than that, I don't know what else to give you. I mean, they just hit this 200 like the 10% threshold. They could have just started talks and then all of a sudden bam everyone's fired.
And that is where the point I made in yesterday's video, where I'm like, all right, you fired X amount of people, but now what about the people that remain at the studio? And this post kind of gets into that, where it says, those who are lucky and remain at the studio now work in fear, fearful of when talking to each other at tea prep, fearful that we're next in line and easily are getting rid of, too scared to go outside the studio and talk or even acknowledge other colleagues, outside protesting in fears of reprisals. Morale in the studio is at rock bottom. When we should be excited about what's to come over the next year, we are now totally deflated and our trust and confidence in others is totally shot. That right there is the thing I feared most. And this is where it's like, now, what do you do? What does Rockstar do to. I know the easy answer there is like, hire back the people, do the union stuff, and whatever. But it's always like a thing when like whenever you go through a bad breakup and they're like we want to reconnect. It's like that stuff happened and you have to acknowledge it and like get over it and go through it and work it out. But that still happened. And now you're sitting here as people within the studio where you're like, man, like, again, like, if these people are fearful to go outside and talk to their colleagues, like, by the water cooler and, like, do whatever, that suddenly is grounds of, man, should I really stay at this studio? Should I
Yeah.
leave? Like, should I do whatever? I know I would if I worked at a place and I felt like it was constantly walking on eggshells and all that, I would not stay there. And for these people that are there, maybe you're watching
Some
this
people
video.
have to, you know, like
Yeah,
they have
no,
a livelihood
exactly.
here. They
Yeah,
can't afford to do this, and they it sucks because they are avoiding their friends, avoiding their colleagues, and because they're afraid that they can get fired and then all of a sudden lose their livelihood. Because the people who were fired, they got fired. Like specifically, the post says they got fired without any form of like back pay, like any form of like I the word is like blanked from my mind right now, but they aren't getting paid at all. They just like nope,
no.
terminated, done. They don't get any back pay, nothing. So all of a sudden they go from making X amount because they're the developers on this game that's going to make billions,
Yeah, yeah.
and now suddenly they are getting nothing.
It, usually, I don't remember the exact layoff story we talked about because, much to my regret, we've talked about plenty. But there were other ones where, regardless of the layoffs, the people at the company that was overseeing everything gave them a package of like a 90-day, like, this is your, like, you're still gonna get some pay, you're still gonna get your benefits as far as like healthcare and all that. And then after those 90 days, usually you can find something to kind of suffice. In this case, clear, cold cut, like, no, they're not getting that. And again, like, I want to stress the point too, like, as much as I want to believe this story, there is still that massive grain of salt you should take with it. But if this is definitely the case, and like somehow, some way this gets verified, proven, whatever, like, Rockstar is a shit company for that. Like, straight up, as much
Yeah,
as like I love Grand Theft Auto and I love Red Dead, like, this is horrible. Like, this is just way above and beyond going out of your way to be bad. And it's like, man, like, granted, like we said yesterday, why trust the big company, you know? But at the same time, you just hope there's some, like, especially for the people, and these are lead people that got you to the zone of prominence you're in right now. Like, have a little bit of respect, because without them, you very well could be, not to like cast stones, but you could be the Tango Gameworks of the world where your studio was shut down. Like, that's what you could have
you
been.
could be.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, this could be like this very well could be like the final straw for Rockstar. I'm not saying it's going to be like it could be like if they don't like play their cards right and everything, if they don't listen to the people and they don't actually help their employees and they continue to just be complete dirtbags, then this could very well be the end of them where people just like lose all hope in them and then they just go, "Okay, yeah, we don't want what you're selling anymore." I mean, obviously you're gonna have people who defend Rockstar night and day because they're like super fans who can't see anything bad in a company. But at the end of the day, like this will hurt them.
Yeah.
It will.
Yeah. I mean,
And I mean, if I was owning a company like that, I would much rather be nice and listen to the people and listen to my employees and see what's going on, see how they feel, rather than just fire them outright. Because unlike, billionaires, I actually care about the people who run a company and like who help uplift it.
I mean, the most comparable thing I can think about as far as like a company being in this bad of a spot, albeit a very different story, but like Activision Blizzard under Bobby Kotick. All the stories that came out about that workplace environment and how bad it was, the story, like the horror stories that came out of that, and then what it took to get them out of that hole of like Microsoft had to come in. I mean, they didn't have to buy them, but like they came in and gutted Activision Blizzard and gave them a new chain of command. Where it's like, do I see that happening with Rockstar? I don't see them getting bought. I see this as a story where it's like, okay, we messed up now, post this, we cannot afford to do that, and we will not. At least I would like to think. But again, big company at play here. But yeah, like, do you have any final thoughts here about this shit situation?
Nothing other than I want to find a way to help because
Yeah.
I feel bad for them. I feel like they deserve all the help they can get.
Yeah, I mean, right now, from what I see, like, we're going to include this post here, GTA forums. There is apparently a fundraiser to support those fighting for their dismissal. We'll link that below. But yeah, like, it just sucks. Like, this stuff, hearing it, and now, yeah, thank you for that. We're going to have it linked below. Feel free. I mean, hey, or just share the post around because word of mouth is so pivotal and so key in gaming today. So, hey, there you go. We're going to try to help here. But if you have any thoughts about this, drop a comment down below. Join our community Discord to talk about this more because by all means, I feel like this is just the tip of the iceberg here. But as for this episode of Community Kitchen, I have been Kalo, joined by Aiden, and we'll see you guys next time. If you enjoyed today's video and want more content just like this, consider subscribing to Game Sandwich for all your news, rumors, and reviews. And we'll see you guys next time.